Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting will come to order. This is the regular meeting of the Land Use and Transportation Committee. My name is Supervisor Malia Cohen. I'm the chair of this committee, and to my right is Supervisor Scott Wiener, who is the vice chair, and to my left is Supervisor Aaron Peskin. Our clerk is Miss Elisa Samara, and at this moment I'd like to thank our friends at SF Gov TV, Phil Jackson and Leo D'Assis, for assisting us in broadcasting this meeting live to you today on SF Gov TV. Madam Clerk, do you have any announcements today?
Yes. Please make sure to silence all cell phones and electronic devices. Completed speaker cards and copies of any documents to be included as part of the files should be submitted to the clerk. Items acted upon today will appear on the March 15th Board of Supervisors agenda unless otherwise stated.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the announcements. Could you please call items 1 and 2 together?
Yes. Item numbers 1 and 2 are a resolution and ordinance declaring the intention and ordering the street vacation of James Alley as part of the improvement to the Chinese Hospital, approving the purchase and sale agreement and quitclaim deed between the City and Chinese Hospital Association, and reserving various easements.
Thank you. Supervisor Peskin is the author of these two items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, these are two instruments necessary for helping the Chinese hospital move forward. The first is a resolution of intent to vacate a street, actually, truth be told, a half a street, 6.25 feet wide by 137 feet deep, which is necessary for the completion of the incredible many decades effort to rebuild a seismically safe Chinese hospital in District 3 in Chinatown. I first of all want to commend the many individuals who have been involved in the rebuilding of this facility. I had the pleasure of going on a tour of it. It is a remarkable facility, and I want to acknowledge the many decades effort of Rose Pack in particular, but also of thousands of donors and the construction team headed up by David Lem, and many, many people in the community for whom this has been a long sought-after dream that is finally coming to fruition. And on April 18th, there will be a formal celebration of its opening. In order to move this project forward, James Alley, which lies on the east side of the hospital, needs to be vacated. As a matter of fact, there are a number of underground facilities underneath the alley, and I believe the state of California insists that the entire alley be vacated by the city. The documents that are before us actually require as a condition of the agreement that the alley forever be open space, so that public amenity will continue to exist, albeit in private and not in public hands. It will remain open to the public, and the Chinese hospital is actually going to add a number of community amenities to that area. With that, colleagues, subject to public comment, there are a few small amendments that we need to make to the resolution. On page 2 at line 19, there's a blank there for a public hearing, which is required for a street vacation. That blank should be filled in to be April 5th of 2016, and the title of the measure should also indicate at the end of the title that the public hearing would be set for April 5th of 2016. So I would like to move those amendments.
Thank you.
After public comment.
Yes, before we take those amendments,
Right, I said subject to public comment.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, is there anyone that'd like to speak on items 1 and 2? Please come up. We'll have 2 minutes. Nope? Okay. Then we'll take public comment as closed. Thank you. No members of the public. So Supervisor Peskin has made some amendments. Is this an amendment to item number 1?
That would be an amendment to item number 1.
All right, sounds good. So we're going to act on these items separately because item 1 is agendized as a committee report, and item 2 will need to move to the full board without a recommendation. So is there a motion to accept the amendments? All right, motion made by Supervisor Wiener, and without objection, that motion passes. All right.
And then I'd like to move item number 1 with recommendation as a committee report for hearing by the full board tomorrow, March 8th, and refer item number 2 without recommendation to the April 5th, 2016 Board of Supervisors.
All right, thank you. And without objection, these motions pass. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Maybe you could call, actually, I know you can do this for me. Could you call item 3?
Yes. Item number 3 is a resolution authorizing the placement of a street plaque commemorating Herbert Koslowitz at the sidewalk of Washington Square Park and accepting the plaque as a gift from the Friends of Washington Square
All right,
Park.
Supervisor Peskin is also the author of this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, Herb Koslowitz was a beloved member of the North Beach Telegraph Hill community. Don't worry, we're not dimming the lights for you, Herb. Herb's, one of the many things that Herb did in his life before he passed was to really do everything that he could with the community to help make Washington Square everything that it could be. Herb was a personal friend of mine. I want to thank the Friends of Washington Square, particularly June Frapps, for all of her work in coming forward to have a commemorative plaque be installed on Columbus and Union. Herb was an architect. He was a pioneer in many ways in the LGBT movement, in the neighborhood movement, and was beloved and respected despite his gruff and grumpy exterior. And I am delighted that we're joined by one of his family members, Jane Levicow, who is here today, as well as folks from the Department of Public Works and the Rec and Park Department. I want to thank my staff, Connie Chan, for her work over the last couple of months with Ms. Frapps and the Friends of Washington Square. I want to thank the Friends for coming up with the funds for a plaque that deserves to be there. Left, right, or center, North Beach, Telegraph Hill, resident, merchant, everybody loved and respected Herb. And this resolution that is before us will urge the Department of Public Works to waive the costs associated with the permits and the installation of the commemorative plaque. After public comment, I will have one small amendment to the resolution. Is there anybody here from DPW or Rec and Park who would like to testify? Mr. Sporer.
Good afternoon. So for the, I came to really just discuss some of the installation features to the plaque itself.
Sure.
I'm not completely sure exactly of the permanent location that's been identified, but regardless of that, wherever it is to be installed, to mount the plaque in a safe and way that will keep it in its location for a long period of time. I don't know if you want me to discuss the cost associated with it and the maintenance and upkeep.
Sure, absolutely. The public and the members of this panel should know.
Okay, so in order for us to mount the plaque properly so that it'll stay there, we need to cut about a 36 by 36 portion of concrete out and then pour in some new cement so that we can, there's a couple of studs on the back of the plaque. We'll put some washers on there and then affix it to the cement so that it can't be pried out. The ongoing maintenance and upkeep, we have several plaques throughout the city. The ongoing maintenance and upkeep for it is really minimal and shouldn't take too much for us to do it. But in order to get it installed, it's approximately $3,000 for us to cut out the cement and then pour back for it. And I would say that that would be a generous estimate.
And I understand that the plaque has passed its slip resistance test.
It has some raised features on it, and it should be slip resistant, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sporer. I appreciate it. Is Abigail Maher from the Recreation and Parks Department here? Ms. Maher, thanks for taking some time out of your day.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, Supervisor Cohen, and Supervisor Wiener, and Supervisor Peskin. I am Abigail Mayer with the Recreation and Park Department on our partnerships team. And on behalf of Rec and Park, I would like to share that we support this authorization of placing this plaque in the sidewalk on Union Street. We do feel that the proposed location on Union Street is a fine location, and since it is adjacent to Washington Square Park, our property, then we are all for it. I would just like to make note that I have been working with the Friends of Washington Square, and I just want to publicly express my appreciation for working with them. They have been committed to working with Rec Park, with DPW, and also with the Arts Commission. I also think that this is a wonderful way to honor Mr. Kosovitz, and I truly hope that it does inspire people from the North Beach community and from across the city to really roll up their sleeves and get involved in our parks, in their neighborhoods, and across the city. So thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to you and your colleagues, as well as to the folks at DPW for working with my staff and with the Friends of Washington Square. And colleagues, whenever you go into Washington Square and you see that entire lighting setup, that was Herb Kosovitz at work. Madam Chair, can we open this up to public comment to hear from
Yes.
Ms. Frapps and Ms. Levikow?
Please come up. Come join us. Public comment. You'll have 2 minutes. You'll hear a soft chime. Come up. You'll have 2 minutes. Thank you.
I can't really add much to what Aaron has described about our feelings about Herb. He's a wonderful guy. He was a good friend of mine for 35 years and a neighbor for the last 15. And he has done incredible things for the neighborhood itself as well as for Washington Square. So we're delighted to be able to do this, and I hope that we will succeed in getting the installation costs waived.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work, June. Really appreciate your perseverance. Jane?
Thank you. My cousin Herb Kosovitz was passionate about many things: family, architecture, and neighborhood among them. He served as the family patriarch being among the last of his generation in our family, and was loved by all, which includes 4 generations. His wide circle of friends were also considered family to him, and this circle included many of his clients. Herb loved his work as an architect and didn't fully retire until about a year before he died. Herb also loved his neighborhood, and particularly Washington Square Park. As you know, he was a founding member of the Friends of Washington Square Park and was actively involved until his death. Herb knew so many people, it was impossible to walk through Washington Square with him and not stop several times to be introduced to the on-duty police officer, merchants, and other neighbors passing by. Herb's commitment of many decades to the preservation of neighborhood and community should be publicly recognized and celebrated. On behalf of Herb's family, we are grateful to have this public plaque to honor Herb's legacy and commitment, and to serve as a reminder to everyone who sees it of the importance of being actively involved in community wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public to speak on item number 3? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed. Is there a motion on this item?
So, Madam Chair, I would like to, on page 2, line 11, insert 2 words, permits and, so that the further resolved reads, further resolved that the Board of Supervisors hereby urges the Department of Public Works to waive all costs associated with permits and the installation of the commemorative plaque.
All right, thank you very much. That's pretty easy. Is there a motion to accept the amendment? All right, motion. All right, motion made, and without objection, this motion to accept the amendment is accepted. Thank you.
And then I would like to send this matter to the full board with recommendation.
All right, and without objection, that motion passes as well. Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any items before us today?
No, that concludes our business for today.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The meeting is adjourned.